Hi everybody, welcome back to Darlingbrough Model Railway. I'm Richard. It has been really warm here, especially in the UK, with temperatures getting as high as 26 degrees, which basically feels like we're sat on the surface of the sun. No, we are, seriously. So I wanted to take an opportunity to talk about how extreme temperatures can actually affect a model railway layout and the best ways to avoid any problems from happening. When it comes to setting up a model railway, location is going to be a major determining factor on whether you have issues dealing with extreme temperatures or not. If you have the luxury of having your layout set up in a spare bedroom, for example, in a house, the chances are you're not going to face the same problems as somebody who has a layout set up in a loft or an attic, a garage, or if you're living shed life like me, then obviously the temperature fluctuations can be much worse. If you do have your layout set up in a bedroom or a room in a house, then it's very easy just to obviously open a window, let the fresh air in, and obviously eliminate any problems. The same would obviously apply if you are in a garage or a loft or in a shed. Then again, try and get some fresh air in. For example, as you can see, I have got my door wide open, and that will really help with the temperature. If your layout is set up in a rather large room, it might be worth getting a fan to try and circulate some fresh air around the room. Alternatively, you might want to use an air conditioning unit. This doesn't tend to be applicable here in the UK, but certainly anyone who's watching in warmer countries, America for example, that might be more of a regular thing for you guys. So what sort of problems could we be facing when it comes to really nice hot sunny weather? For one, track buckling could be a major issue. Obviously, model railway tracks are just like real life. They're made of metal, and metal expands in the heat. Potentially, the track could expand, pushing against each other, which could cause buckling on your track. Buckling would obviously lead to derailments and lots of frustration. So how do we prevent a piece of track buckling in the hot sun? When you come to lay your track, it's always best to try and leave a small gap between the pieces of track. About 1 millimetre just allows enough space for the track to expand in warm weather. Hopefully this should prevent any buckling and keep your model railways running nice and smooth. As well as metal expanding, metal is a really good conductor of heat, which means that if you leave it out in a direct heat source, sunlight for example, then it can get very hot. If you do have a layout, particularly a garden layout for example, where you have exposed track exposed to the heat, then be very careful when you come to touching it, because you can actually burn yourself. As well as that, being very hot, it could cause a fire risk as well. You may actually introduce extra heat where it's not wanted. One of the ways you can try and prevent this is to try and cover up any direct sunlight hitting any exposed metal. If you have a garden layout, for example, where the track is going to be exposed outside, it might be worth just putting a sheet over any exposed track on really hot sunny days to prevent the sunlight heating up the track. The same also applies if you have an indoor layout where sunlight can reach exposed track. Try and put up a curtain just to prevent the sunlight from causing any problems. Unlike the real world, model railways are generally made from plastics, which obviously can melt if the temperatures get too much, as Graham Smith recently found out. Unfortunately, he left his N-gauge loco out in the sunshine for about 10 minutes, and unfortunately this is what he came back to. I'm actually quite surprised to see how much damage that loco sustained. I got in touch with Graham and obviously asked him for permission to use the photo. He told me that he'd only left it out in the sunshine for about 10 minutes, and when he went back to it, obviously that's the damage he found. Graham, I'm really sorry to see the damage that it's caused. All I can say is I hope that it's a cautionary tale for anybody else watching this video. Do not leave any of your models, rolling stock, engines out in direct sunlight. Try and take them inside on very hot days. Keep them in a cool area, keep them under shade, and hopefully we won't see any more pictures like this in the future. In extreme temperatures, unfortunately, the electrics on a model railway can start to fail as well. This may be caused by track expansion, it may cause a short circuit, or in extreme cases it may actually cause a loose connection. On top of that, extreme temperatures could potentially cause the metal on the motors of locos, engines, point motors to expand and cause friction, and even motors to seize completely. One of the easiest ways to avoid failing motors in your engines or your locos is to take them out of any areas which will be exposed to extreme temperatures. When it comes to fixed items such as point motors, try and keep them in the shade as much as possible. Try and put up a curtain just to prevent the sunlight from causing any problems. Keep the room that they're in cool, and just try and avoid any extreme temperatures from reaching them. Obviously this will prolong the life of your engines and your locos and keep your model railway running nice and smoothly. Warm weather when it comes to model railways isn't necessarily all bad. There are some benefits to working in some glorious sunshine. As well as making you feel good, it really helps when you come to do any painting on models or scenery. If you are leaving something that you've painted in the warm weather, obviously it will dry a lot quicker. Just be aware though, if you are working on any products where the extra heat may cause a problem, for example if you are doing any resin pours for rivers or lakes, then that may affect the final outcome. Sometimes too high of a temperature can cause resins to become cloudy and murky, which is obviously not the finish that you're looking for. If you are working on any of these type of products, then it might be worthwhile waiting until an evening when the temperature drops and things get a little bit cooler. On the flip side of that, however, just be aware that some adhesives actually lose their cohesion in temperatures that are too high. They melt or they become unstuck, and you'll end up finding scenery on the floor rather than on your layout. Again, just try and eliminate the heat in your model railway room by using the tips I've mentioned earlier. And the last thing I should mention is look after the operator of your model railway as well. Yes, that's you. Don't forget, if you are working in nice warm temperatures, take regular breaks. Make sure you keep yourself hydrated, and if it gets too hot, leave it. Go back to it in the evenings, or maybe when the weather cools down a little bit. There's not much point in working in an environment that's too uncomfortable and too warm just to play with some trains. While I'm talking about keeping hydrated, if you are enjoying the content I produce on this channel and you want to help support me, then you can do by buying me a coffee. If you make a small donation equivalent to the price of a coffee, then it will help me continue to produce videos for this channel. It will also help me to work on my project Big Shed and get my model railway up and running in the future. Any donations that you do make are really well appreciated, so thank you very much. So there you go, some helpful hints and tips on how to keep your model railway running smoothly even in the harshest of summers. If you've got any other ideas or any other suggestions, anything you think I've missed, then by all means leave me a comment down below and let me know anything else I should have mentioned. If you're also working in a model railway that's subject to heat, don't forget to take regular breaks, make sure you look after yourself, and check out these other videos as well.